of projects, he would inspire a lot of initiatives, and he would inspire a lot of the best way to relate with one another. Hence his slogan of One Zambia, One Nation.
We will be all upstanding for the national anthem. All those in the uniform are invited to salute. This marks the end of the provincial public viewing program, and we will remain upstanding up until Her Honor the Vice President sees off the casket to the gun carriage, and thereafter Her Honor will depart. I thank you.
Prepare to lift.
The funeral party just again going through the drill, and what will follow will be the death march, and that is because in as far as this particular occasion is concerned, this military drill in the opposite of what will be for a civil way in which the body is carried. In this particular instance for Dr. Kaunda, his feet are forward and his head is placed where he's coming from. So the death march is what follows on this particular occasion. A somber occasion marking the end of an important end of an era. military in a highly organized and choreographed manner. They conduct the death march with the pallbearers being the brigadier generals aided by the staff sergeants, Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, a man who loved the country, a man who trod Lusaka in the most trying moments when the country was fighting to take itself out of the hands or shackles of colonialism. Today has bid farewell to the people of Lusaka, or to put it aptly, the people of Lusaka bidding farewell to Dr. Kaunda, a man who loved the military, he loved the civil members of society, and has a legacy that will live forever. A military funeral, a state funeral of high regard to the man who stood for peace, unity, and love for man, and encouraged Zambians to love one another. Being described in a million ways, a representative of what it means to be a good, caring human being. That's Dr. Kenneth David Kaunda. And after a tour of all the provinces of Zambia, Dr. Kaunda will be put to rest on Wednesday. It has been and continues to be a very emotional time for this country. But as the world watches on, Dr. Kaunda leaving an indelible mark, and perhaps understanding why Zambia is a haven of peace, a place where its people are regarded as among the friendliest in the world. And it's because of the values which Dr. Kaunda ensured throughout his life as a leader, both as a president and after being president. He didn't stop. And it is very clear that that message and that stance on love and unity for each other was resonating across the country. A legend of our time, and those before many, many of us, and one whose legacy will outlive many, many to come. It's an occasion that's been taking place here at the Woodlands Stadium, and Her Honor the Republican Vice President leading the mourners yet again on this very somber occasion. We will be looking back at what has been said as well, but again it's been emphasis on the need for the country not to deviate from the values that have been left by Dr. Kaunda. As his casket is put on the gun carrier, it will be yet another similar movement back to the funeral parlor. But as that happens, it will be hoped that Zambians will be reflecting on what has been said during the service by the many speakers that came and were part of the program this afternoon. It included the clergy, traditional leadership, of course, there was the family representation and the guest of honor being the Republican Vice President in Mrs. Inonge Mutukwa Owina, whose husband was in that cabinet that Dr. Kaunda first established. So real is this whole occasion that what remains is to reflect on some of the sentiments that have been said. So Brian Mlamba is with me here at Walden Stadium and has been watching very closely, observing what has been going on. The whole occasion was seemingly just going down to one thing, the gathering been so organized, the words about Dr. Kaunda being echoed, reflective of what he spoke about, but in all this, a sense of regret hovering over this place.
Absolutely. For a moment, you get the feeling, that all the speakers were reading from Dr. Kaunda's script, isn't it? Because they were simply re-echoing what he has always been talking about, in terms of how to move forward as a country, the need to hold on to the peace that we have as a country, and to remain a united force, as a country, to face our challenges as one people. The One Zambia, One Nation continues to come out from all the speeches that have been, brought to the fore. And so, again, the son Panji did again stress the need to brush aside, tribal sentiments that seem to have characterized our political space in the recent past, and to preach oneness as a country, because that is what Dr. Kaunda, wanted to see when it comes to Zambia.
The very fact that Dr. Kaunda, upon independence, like was alluded to by the Republican Vice President, that he embarked on national building program, a program to develop different areas of the country, speaks volumes. Does it? And it goes on like that, Brian.
standing just behind me is KK's former bodyguard, Mr. Duncan Mutonga. Great to have you on this particular event. Very somber moment that we're talking to you, but your fond memories of Dr. KK.
Dr. KK was a great man. I worked with him when he was president. When he lost the election, I resigned and followed him. I worked up to the time of demise. I was in very good books with him, and he was a very wonderful person. He's one thing that I cherish him about is was a brave man, an honest man, someone who couldn't even kill the mosquitoes that were terrorizing him. He was such a wonderful person.
Share with me your reaction to the announcement that he had passed on. Where were you, and how did this message reach you?
The announcement was very devastating when my colleagues called me that he's no more. Otherwise, we were busy joking that no, this 97, we just need another 3 more years for you to reach 100, and then you can beat the Zambian record. We were joking like that most of the times.
What kind of a man was he? You worked with him on a very personal basis. What kind of a man was he?
He was a very, very wonderful man. I can go into details. He was brave. When things were rough in Iraq, he would go there. Even when the sanctions were there, he would go there. When the planes were not allowed into Iraq, he would drive there to Iraq. When the planes were not allowed into Libya, he would drive into Libya. He was such a hardworking and very dedicated to the humanity. Yeah.
On a personal level, how much of an impact, was he to you?
No, at a personal level, he used to call me a friend. He could call me, Mune, come here. Mune, do this. My comrade, come here. But for me, he's still His Excellency. I couldn't call him my friend. He was His Excellency, but he was a very good, kind man. Yes, thank you.
As we wind up this interview, how are you going to remember him going forward?